having watched Sean Pultz's 12 Scariest Disney Moments, I have to say that as good as his choices are, and I've seen most of the movies that he's referring to, and yes, they do have some pretty creepy scenes, but there's two particular movies that are very well known, very unknown to Disney fans, and for the life of me, I'm not entirely sure why, other than the fact that one of them, Walt Disney took a chance with, and yes, I have done a movie review for this particular movie on here, a video movie review for this movie, and I've liked it ever since I was in my between 8 and 10. He points out the scariest Disney moments in various movies, but I gotta tell you, I'm not saying you have to have a strong stomach for any of the ones that I'm about to put in here. If nothing else, I cannot do the top 12 because it's not 12 scariest Disney moments. For me, now granted, these movies did not scare me, but there's scenes that certainly gave me the creeps. The problem is that this list involves Disney movies that actually have scary scenes in them, but the scary scenes just keep coming. The creepy scenes just keep coming. In particular, this happens to be one of my favorites. Ever since I was, like I said, ever since I was between 8 and 10 years old, and I've liked it ever since. But when I found out that most Disney fans want to pretend this one doesn't exist, for the life of me, after seeing the 12 Scariest Disney Moments by Sean Pultz, Sean, I don't know why, but that two-parter does not allow comments, and I'm not even sure if you're the one that disabled it. On that note, this is not an insult to your list by any means whatsoever. I promise. In fact, I am very impressed with your choices because in your own way, you're right on the money. Those scenes are pretty creepy. I wouldn't call them scary, but I certainly call them creepy. And Sean, I don't even know if you're gonna watch this video. I'm gonna make them public and see if you like it. I'm hoping that you say something to it because I will not disable comments until I get enough negative feedback. On that note, I don't even know if you can find this one with your resources and stuff, but I can tell you that one of my favorites ever since I was a kid, and like I said, this one I cannot do the 12 scariest Disney moments because this one alone has enough creepy moments in it that, strong stomach or not, it so very easily may give you the creeps. In particular, number one, I'm just going to say number one because frankly, excuse me, number one in particular, this movie has so many scary moments in it, it can almost fit a list on its own, at least to me. Because the creepy stuff never stops coming. Sean, when and if you decide to watch this, let me know. Not the movie, but my video. Because as good as your choices are, you haven't seen anything yet. In the early 80s, this one came out, but it's one of those that Disney fans want to pretend doesn't exist. And yeah, it may have been a risk taker and all that stuff, but to me, it was very, very good. I've always liked stories about the battle between good and evil, but this is one of my first ones. That having been said, here's my first one. You could almost put 5 scariest Disney moments within this movie alone. It is one of the creepier Disney moments I ever saw, and even between 8 and 10, it didn't scare me. But there are certain scenes that could definitely give some people the creeps. The reason why I'm saying all this, Sean, I'm not blasphemizing your list by any means. But if you think those are the scariest Disney moments in Disney history, you might want to check this one out, and then make a new list, adding this one. Because I guarantee you, if you think those scenes are scary, try watching this, and then tell me those are the scariest Disney moments. I'm not criticizing your opinions by any means. I respect them and I agree with them. But this one could almost throw that entire list out the window. That's how scary this movie could be for some. That having been said, like I said, this movie has enough scary moments in it. You don't even need a whole list for a bunch of movies. This movie has enough creepy moments in it that it can almost fill a list of 5 scary moments. In particular, I mean, for starters, the person playing the main villain, Jonathan Pryce, who is very well known these days for Pirates of the Caribbean. He's kind of a character actor these days. But he is in all 4, and he's at least in the first 3 Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And he plays this vicious villain. Not really vicious, he's more or less pretty subtle. But he really nails his role. Like I said, his name is Jonathan Pryce, and he plays a character named Mr. Dark. I mean, I haven't figured out yet, he is one heck of a villain in this film. And Jonathan Pryce, I mean, he's obviously British, but the way he delivers his lines in this movie, those are enough to give you the creeps themselves. There's 3 or 4 scenes in this movie alone which just give somebody the absolute creeps. Back in '83, I'm not entirely sure how they did it, but however they did it, the special effects in this movie are actually pretty convincing. I mean, we've got the opening sequence is on top of the music, and the opening sequence with that train coming up the screen. Not to mention the music accompanying the opening credits. And like I said, I kind of want to say the 4 scariest Disney movies, even though they didn't scare me. Actually, I'm not even going to say scary, I'm just going to say creepiest. But that's just me. But I'm not going to go into the details with them, so I'm going to make it much more than that. The opening sequence is enough. I'm not going to say it's enough to give you nightmares, but it will definitely give you the creeps if it has that chance. One of the other ones, I mean, I realize I have not watched this one as much, but this one, from the early 80s as well, and yes, that is Bette Davis. One of the later ones. One of her last ones, I think. Not to say that some other movies by Disney have not been creepy. They have. But that one I'm going to have to watch it again before I can really give a full critique on it. On that note, it is by a director that apparently is rather well known for Disney movies. But in the late 80s, he decided to do a movie that was so un-Disney-like. I'm not even sure anybody's heard of it. The movie's called American Gothic, and it's got Yolanda Carlo and Ron Steiger. It actually is a pretty good movie, but it's very, very bizarre. Watcher in the Woods and Something Wicked, as I call them, they've got enough enough creepy moments in them to make a list themselves. Between the 2 of them, they've got at least... But Something Wicked has maybe 5 or 6 different creepy moments. Watcher in the Woods has maybe 4 or 5. Now, then of course there's one of the most famous Disney movies that, as good as it is, it has some scenes in it that are downright creepy. The well-known classic, the original Lion King. There's at least 2 or 3 scenes in this movie that I think would scare anyone, or could scare anyone. Now, granted, you have to analyze certain scenes to get the creepiness behind these. In particular, when Scar does his Be Prepared song, now that scene alone is pretty creepy in itself. But if you'll notice very, very carefully, there's kind of a reference to the Third Reich. When Scar's up on that cliff, and those hyenas doing a little march across the screen. I didn't realize it until watching it a few more times, and people pointed this out to me. But there's kind of a reference to the Third Reich with the Nazis in that scene. It's very, very subtle, but if you know your history, you can't miss it. Of course, Jeremy Irons is the voice of Scar, and he's creepy enough as it is. And there's certain scenes where we kind of get really, really close to his face, And that alone can give you the creeps. It didn't give me the creeps, but I'm sure it could some people. Then, of course, there's the sequel, and in my opinion, the 1.5, I don't want to waste my time, if for no other reason than it pretty much tells the story, but on Timon and Pumbaa's perspective. Now, some would say that the first one does not have that many comedic scenes. I am going to beg to differ, if for no other reason than this guy, Rafiki. He cracks me up so many times it's not funny. Him and Timon and Pumbaa, of course. The sequel, Simba's Pride, I think that one is also very, very good. I mean, yeah, we've got a, the main villain, for those that haven't seen it, you will figure out who the main villain, you'll figure out who the main villain is when you start watching this one very, very quickly. If for no other reason, and it's only because of Suzanne Plachette, who does the voice. It's pretty obvious this particular character has a full vendetta against Simba, and she is using her cubs, per se, to take revenge against Simba, to say the least. The only problem is, Zira, as often happens with most villains, she doesn't know the whole story behind what happened with Scar. Her song, My Lullaby, as peaceful as that song may sound, once you hear it, I mean, the way she does this song, as goofy as it may look in certain spots, it's got its creepy scenes. Now, I say creepy because, yeah, none of these 4 movies really scared me, but there's certain scenes that were definitely creepy. And that definitely sent chills up my spine to a degree. Especially something wicked and Watcher in the Woods. Now, The Lion King 1 and 2, to me they had creepy scenes. But Something Wicked is creepy enough, it can make a list of its own with 6 scariest Disney moments. Watcher in the Woods I'm going to have to watch again before I decide on that not. It is creepy, but Something Wicked has at least 6 scenes alone that are downright really, really creepy. Final note, with Something Wicked, all I can tell you is, if you're afraid of spiders, you may want to skip that one altogether. Let me know and tell me what you think. Like I said, Sean, once again, this is not an insult to your list at all. I wanted to make this video for quite some time now, but I'm not sure how to do the sequences in different movies yet. I need to figure out how to do that. If you have any suggestions, I'm all ears. Like I said, Sean, do not take this as an insult to your list at all, because that is not my intention by any means. Like I said, I agree with your opinions, but if you haven't seen Something Wicked and Watcher in the Woods, like I said, you haven't seen anything yet. Even though Something Wicked is not very well known, I'm not even sure if Disney disowned it. But I do know there's a lot of Disney fans that wish that pretend this movie doesn't exist. Sean, please watch this video, and I'm just trying to point out that there's other movies out there that you may want to. I mean, I'm not saying you may want to. You may want to refute your original list, but you may want to update it, because I can tell you, if you haven't seen Something Wicked, you haven't seen anything yet, as far as scary and creepy moments of Disney. Like I said, I respect your opinions and I agree with them. Like I said, you have not seen Something Wicked. If you haven't seen Something Wicked, you haven't seen anything yet. Even the modern Disney movies that have made since the 80s. A lot of them are very, very good. I will not put them down. And they've got creepy moments too. But Something Wicked, there's at least 6 scenes in that movie that would just give you the chills. Let me know what you think, Sean. I'll be watching. Take care for now.